Now, a Hutch's weather update with meteorologist Hutch Johnson.
Hello, everybody. Meteorologist Hutch Johnson joining you. Some wild weather to talk about as we go through the next several days across the lower 48. And we do have a pretty active pattern showing up behind me on the forecast models for some. We'll talk about heat bubble, real burst of warm air. We're going to look at a severe weather threat in the deep south and talk about that storm track as things are shifting as we glide into the middle of the month of December right here on Hutch's Weather. Let's get started with a look at what's behind me. That's the radar. And what we're going to do on this forecast model that's making its way across the nation is showing basically this trend over the next several days here in the globe. A couple of things to point out. Here's something kind of fun. Notice the hand pointing here in the center. That is a look at the what we call the ITCZ, or the Intertropical Convergence Zone there, this line of showers around 10 degrees north. That's pretty fun and interesting. Now, that's a shift to the north in the northern winter from that area of convergence where we usually see that along the equator there. Now, take a look at this. Do you see up near Alaska? There is what we would call an Aleutian low that's formed there, and it's lobbing some significant warm energy all the way up into the Northwest Territories and British Columbia, while we see fairly quiet conditions across much of the lower 48 at times. What's going on here is that jet stream has made a huge rise up, north of British Columbia into the Northwest Territories, and it comes down this way and it makes its way back up into the North Atlantic. Now, with this jet stream pattern over North America, we have this area right here, and that's a nice warm bubble. We'll denote that with a W for warm, and a real cool pool right here that's positioned basically along the Great Lakes. Now, we have some very active weather that has worked its way into the northern parts of northeastern United States, and some storms there. And the warm bubble hit, the northern plains, where there were some record highs on this day. Today, on Wednesday, our hump day, we saw 60s all the way up in Bismarck, North Dakota. Check out a couple of these temperatures I noted here in the region of the northern plains. Yikes! Grand Forks setting a record out at the airport, 56 degrees for today. 66 in Bismarck, North Dakota is the warmest day, matching the warmest day in December ever. So it's pretty warm right now, thanks to that bubble that we were talking about. Now, let's take a look at the severe weather risk, shall we? To do that, we'll pop up the radar, and we'll go ahead and take a look at what we expect on the radar while I switch the view here on this particular screen. Now, we are looking at, let me turn the pencil off here. There we go. On the radar, we'll take a look at the national picture. And to do that, I'm going to zoom back into the lower 48 here. Maybe turn off these lines of latitude and longitude as we are looking at this. Now, one thing to keep in mind with regards to the weather here, this is just one computer model. And as a meteorologist, I could tell you that the farther we get out in time, the lower the accuracy that these models tend to be. But they're still pretty interesting and fun to look at nonetheless. Let me see. I think I've got a couple of layers here. There we go. Now let's look at that radar. First and foremost, windy weather in the Rocky Mountains from Colorado and Cheyenne, and another system making landfall in the Pacific Northwest on the radar tonight. Now let's look at that severe weather threat. First and foremost, as we head into the late week on Friday, there is going to be a risk for a few areas to get some severe thunderstorms. The area of concern is going to be the Gulf Coast states. Let's check that out. We're in December here, and we're going to look at day 3. As we look at the categorical risk of severe storms, we're going to highlight these areas for you and talk about what this means. First and foremost, we're going to have a system working its way out of the Rockies. It's going to mingle with some cooler, dry air rolling off the Rockies with the Gulf Coast moisture here. And places like Fort Smith, Fayetteville, northwest Arkansas near Bella Vista and Rogers, all the way up into Joplin and Springfield and southwest Missouri, a chance for some strong to severe storms. What do the green colors mean? The ordinary or the very, very light green colors generally means we're going to have a garden variety chance of thunderstorms, but a few could be marginally severe. in parts of eastern Oklahoma, from McAllister all the way into that border area with Fort Smith and Fayetteville, where we see the deeper green shade. So we're not talking about a huge outbreak on this day. Now, this risk will shift off to the east as we take you into day 4 with this system. Let me go ahead and pop that up for you here. As we look at day 4, we'll turn off day 3, and here we go to day 4. Let's turn that on. Okay, so areas impacted by the risk of severe weather on day 4. Well, I must not have turned it on correctly. Let me do that one more time. I apologize for my... there we go. Here it is. On day 4, listed for you, there's a 15% risk that we may see some strong to severe storms in places like Houston, Memphis, Shreveport, Little Rock, Arkansas, and Jackson, Mississippi. So we'll keep our eyes on that for the nation as the system works its way through. Let me show you what that looks like on the forecast model here. As we switch our banner over, we'll look at the forecast model. And let's take a look at that one more time now. Now, this is the American model. I'll take a look at 2 of the global models that go out that far. The American model, as I load it up and set it into motion, will show quiet weather over most of the United States with exception of the Pacific Northwest. Here comes a big weather-making system. This is as we go into the Friday morning time frame along the international border in the Dakotas, and we do have another system making its way into the Cascades. Now, watch this. As we step into time, we start to see unsettled weather developing as low pressure will develop in the Rocky Mountains. That means a southerly flow out of the Gulf of Mexico, lacing the air with Gulf moisture from Jackson, Mississippi up to Kansas City, Missouri. When that happens, well, there's going to be an increased risk of some precipitation. That unfolds in Des Moines as we head into the weekend on the 9th. That would be Saturday morning at midnight as we go through. That races through parts of Duluth, Superior, and toward the Great Lakes. So that's our weekend chance. Here we see showers and thunderstorms developing in the wee hours of the morning on the Saturday morning time frame. And there, some stout thunderstorms and heavy rain from Nashville, Tennessee form. Watch what this system does now as it moves from Cincinnati and into Ottawa as we put it into motion. Northeasterly motion with this system as it makes its way off the shore beyond the weekend and into the early part of next week. Now, I'll look at a very quiet nation. This will be on the morning of the 12th of December, and that would put you right in on Tuesday, the 12th of December. So fairly quiet weather nationwide as we head toward the middle of the month, though. We're watching yet another system make its way into the Pacific Northwest. All in all, we have an active pattern of weather across the lower 48 with, as we carry this out, a little bit of activity that continues to move out of the Central Plains. Look at this system. Now, this one is all the way in on the 16th and 17th, and the American model here has showers of rain from, well, Des Moines all the way through Kansas City, Sioux Falls. Now, we're getting very far out in the number of hours that this forecast is going out, and that's so far out that realistically we have to take that with a huge grain of salt there with what it's showing. Now, as we take a look at the other global model, the European model generally has done a very good job of longer range forecasting compared to its competitor in the American model. All right. Now, this is going to show precipitation fields here as we set it into motion, and particularly we'll look at that risk for some stronger thunderstorm activity in the Gulf Coast states. Set this into motion as we head into the week, and this is total precipitation. My apologies. Let's go to the precipitation rate. Here we go. As we set that precipitation rate into motion here, quiet early, snow making its way through the northern plains. That is again on our late week forecast. This is Friday. Now, as we go into the Friday afternoon time frame here and into your Saturday morning, there's going to be shower and thunderstorm chances from the Houston area through Jackson, Mississippi. So a few of those storms may be strong to severe as they exit out of that area, and then boom, we get a blossoming of heavier rain. Again, similar areas from New Orleans through Jackson, Nashville, and on up into the Ohio River Valley. Again, this will be basically midnight on the 10th, or that would be Sunday. So now as we carry you through Sunday, that continues off towards Richmond, Washington, D.C., impacting much of eastern Pennsylvania. to the areas just west of Philly, on up into northern parts of New York and now Boston, with some good rain chances as we go into the morning of the 11th or Monday. So that's about as far out as we really want to carry this model. We'll go ahead and take a look at what it shows, a very quiet lower 48 as we head toward the middle of the month. This is about the 12th to the 13th. So that's a look at our forecast as we go across the nation over the next several days. We'll keep you updated on that. But again, a chance for some interesting weather in the deep south. A few storms could be strong to severe, particularly as we head into Saturday, as both models did tend to agree with that outlook there. I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson. Appreciate your likes on the videos if there's content here that interests you. That's a look at the national picture. And again, we're getting deeper and deeper here in the northern plains with very little to no snow on the ground. Temperatures breaking records in places like Bismarck today and not far from Fargo. And what that means is, well, it's warm enough here to have no snow on the ground. And we're well into December. So the longer we go without snow on the ground in the northern plains, well, it makes us question whether or not we'll have a white Christmas. I'll have details on a video going over exactly that topic right here. Again, I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson joining you. Pleasure to have you on board. Thanks for watching.